and welcome to episode 2 of In the Clouds podcast. I am Maddie Pontelandolfo, and I'm back for episode 2. And thank you guys so much for listening to episode 1. First of all, some of the feedback that I got made me literally die laughing about all of the drama with me and Harris. Really, it made me laugh and it made me really happy. So it was a great start to this podcast. It was exactly what I was hoping for, honestly. So thank you so much for listening and for clicking on this link and listening, even if anyone did. So thank you. And it was really fun for me. And I'm really excited to continue on. So I was really hoping that we would have a special someone sitting in on my little podcast session today, and that was the entire plan up until I literally was going to record, and I walked in my room and I noticed that special someone had been taken from his cage. I was really hoping that Cloudy would be here and we would hear his little tweets and his little head hitting the bell. That's what he loves to do. And I was really hoping that that would give me some background noise to my voice and you all could meet Cloudy, which is an honor in itself. But yeah, Brielle took him away because she genuinely thinks that he is her bird too. And I told her, I was like, I want Cloudy here. And she basically just walked out of my room with him on her finger. So maybe he'll come back. I'm really hoping he'll come back before I stop recording tonight, because he's just always a pleasure to be around, and I really think that that would show through to the podcast, and you guys would really see that on your end. But there is going to be another special guest on this episode, and it was kind of impromptu, but there were just some life events this week that made me say, hey, Harris, you need to be on the podcast the next time I record. And you'll hear from him shortly, and everyone will know the big drama that occurred this week in the life of Harris and Maddie. Wait, literally Cloudy heard our prayers and started biting Brielle, which is a new thing that he's been doing. I'm trying to break him out of it. So Brielle brought him downstairs and was like, I needed to put him back. But he's here now, the Cloudster's in the house, and I'm really excited that he is premiering on episode 2. And I think to celebrate, I would like to tell the story of how I got Cloudy. And when I first posted my Instagram with him on my head, the premiere photo of this podcast, which you should go follow the Instagram, by the way, quick little plug there. When I first posted that, everyone was like, why do you have a bird? And I can answer your questions because it's actually a very logical story of how I got Cloudy. So to begin, I love animals and I've really always wanted a pet, and we've only had one pet besides fish. We've had a few fish, which is a whole nother story in itself, me taking care of Brielle's fish. I'll have to tell that one day. But we had one guinea pig as well, and my mom said that we didn't do a good enough job taking care of her, so she gave her to my Aunt Mar, which still traumatized, I will say, separation anxiety from Miss Piggy. But that was my only pet growing up, and that was maybe in like 2nd grade. So I really wanted another pet, and throughout this past, I guess like 2 years now, ever since COVID, I was in my feelings in a deep, dark place, I cannot lie. And I guess I thought that the answer to all my problems was an animal. So I started asking for pet after pet after pet, and of course I shot high and I asked for a dog even though I knew the answer to that already. Then I moved on to a bunny, and I obsessively asked about a bunny for a long time. I would like superimpose my mom with a like picture of someone holding a bunny to try and like make her laugh and then be like, okay, you can get one. It did not work. So I kind of took a chill pill for a little bit and I didn't ask for anything. And this was last February. And here's where the story takes a turn, gets a little random. At Harris's house, his neighbor was moving away, and she had a pet cat that was actually an outdoor cat that she made into an indoor cat. I don't really know the complete story, but it was her cat, and its name was Kitty. And Kitty ran away the day that the neighbor was moving. Very unfortunate timing for Kitty. So the neighbor moved to Florida and Kitty was left with Harris and his mom to take care of. And this went on for some time. They had Kitty for a long time. So finally they made arrangements to ship Kitty back to Florida to be with his owner. And to do that, we had to buy a travel cage. So me and Harris go one night to PetSmart to get a travel cage for Kitty to ship him, I don't know if it was a boy or a girl, off to Florida to be with the owner. And we're like prancing around the PetSmart and we can't find a cage. But what we did find were birds. And just as a little backstory, Harris had 2 birds growing up and has told me about them, but never really went into detail about his birds. Oh, hello, Cloudy. We're talking about you. So I looked at them and I was like instantly in love, and I was like, why have I never considered getting a bird before? They are amazing and super cute. And I was drawn to this one. It was like a connection like no other. And I loved him. He was like a little blue chubster and he was so cute. And so immediately I was like taking pictures, asking my mom, asking my dad, saying I need him. And of course they were like, no. They're too loud, they're dirty. All of the excuses were made for why I could not get this bird. So we ended up leaving and I was genuinely sad, big sad over leaving this bird. And I guess that sadness came from me thinking maybe that they would say yes to this bird, given that I was not doing so hot and I thought I actually had a chance with this bird. I don't really know, but this is what I did. I went back in the car and I cried over a PetSmart bird. I did that and Harris was totally shook. He was like, whoa. She's crying over a bird, what is going on? But I think it was a lot more than that, but I was sad. So over the next few days, I continued the persistent pestering of getting the bird. I would call them and ask. I would like go into the room and ask randomly, make subtle comments. I would text in our group chat, which is called the Peeps chat, the Ponte family group chat. And I would be like, can I get the bird? Always a no. So I started to lose hope, obviously, until one day. Cloudy's like getting all riled up. He's like, yep, I'm coming into the story. One day my parents said that they were going to BJ's to get something. And I thought that was strange. Like, what are you getting? Like 2 packs of water bottles? I didn't know. But I honestly didn't question it. And then they came home maybe like an hour or so later. And my dad was like, I got something for you. I want to show you. And I was like, what could you have possibly got me at a wholesale club? But I trusted the process and I went downstairs and my mom was recording me and I went into my kitchen and there was literally every bird supply thing that you could possibly need. They literally bought the aisles of PetSmart. Cloudy has like a decked out mansion. So I was shook to the core and I was looking in the bird cage. I was like, where is he? And my mom was like, oh, we called the bird store and he was sold. But honestly, that's the best thing that ever happened to me because then I was able to pick out my own bird and make, yes, Cloudy, a connection that was so much stronger than a bird at PetSmart. No shade to him. He was a cutie, but I love my Cloudster. So the next day, Livy and I went to this store, Bird Paradise, and they had so many birds and me and Cloudy just had that instant connection. I knew I needed him. He was definitely the cutest one in all of the parakeets and he was the leader of the pack. I felt like he was like the cool kid. Everyone was like huddling around him. I was like, he's mine. So got him, drove him home, freaked out trying to get him into the cage. And that's the story of how I have Cloudy and now we're best pals. And he has his very own podcast named after him. So he is definitely the most loved bird in all of the land. And that's his origin story. Okay, so I'm going to bring Harris in just a little while, but I first wanted to just touch on our drama from last week. And I want to let you guys know that I feel so validated going into the whole Airpods fiasco. I thought that I was going to get flamed, like roasted by everyone about that situation, but I feel like 100% of the feedback said that everyone was on my side, so I was pretty happy about that one. And everyone seemed like positive about it too, so maybe I'm not so crazy as I think. But there were some topics of discussion this week that I think that everyone needs to hear about. But the biggest win of last week was definitely Harris saying that I was funny, and those answers to that fight saying that I was correct. But going into this week, I'm very curious to hear everyone's feedback. There's a lot to talk about, a lot of content to air out here. So we're gonna jump right in. Okay, so we have Harris here. Hello, Harris.
Hello. I'm not gonna lie, I've never recorded anything other than like a video on my phone.
Wow, so professional of you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be pretty rusty at this.
No, you're kind of the first guest on In the Clouds podcast, but kind of not, because Cloudy has made some noise before you.
Okay, of course.
So you're kind of second in line there.
All right.
It's usually how it is.
Well, if the podcast is named because of him.
Yeah, right. It's appropriate that he made his first entrance. Okay, so we have a few things to discuss. I debriefed them on the feedback that I received of my episode last week, which featured our Airpods fiasco, right?
Now that I'm here, I finally have the opportunity to defend myself and say that you kind of told the story a little inaccurately, in that you never...
I'm editing this out. Just kidding.
You never explicitly lent me the AirPods and said, "Here, Harris, keep these until you find your AirPods." The way the deal worked is, if you want to call it a deal, was that you kind of just let me use them anytime we went to the gym together, or I wanted to use them for any other...
They were yours.
No, they were not mine, because you never said, "Here, keep them until, you find yours." I never had them in my possession.
Tomato, tomato.
Wrongo.
We're not going to rehash this story. All I was saying is that the feedback, sorry to have you, was in my favor.
Because you made it seem like that I had them in my possession and I just lost them. We went to the... Wrong. We went to the gym together, and I don't know... Usually, you didn't even tell them that I usually gave them back to you every single time I used them. At the end of the gym session, you're giggling, and I could see it on your face that you left that detail out.
I did leave that detail out, I will say. I won't lie.
This time, I guess I happened to not give them back, and they were in my gym bag. And I looked in all the places that you told me to look. I never looked in my gym bag, because usually after the gym, I gave them back to you. And you did not tell me to look in my gym bag. Usually we go to the gym down here in Ocean City, and rarely I used your AirPods at the gym up by me.
Lots of defense going on.
Because I need to show the listeners that I'm not some kind of I don't know what happened to them.
Oh, yeah. Here's the thing. What's in the past is in the past. We're not rehashing. That's not my point of bringing you here. There's bigger fish to fry. God. To be honest. And there's two things that I would like to address. Harris just said he wants to finish his explanation, but I said we're not here to do that. And he said, okay, whatever, in the saddest way ever. But we're going to move on. And we're first going to address our issue of the week that he has no idea I'm bringing this up. The issue being our argument these past 2 days while playing our new game. Oh, and Harris is too competitive for me. And it hurts my feelings. So I kindly let him know. I was like, you're being a little too much when we're playing this game that we got at Target. And I enjoyed the game, and he was just being a lot. He was taking it very serious. And I politely said, you're very competitive. Can we have fun while playing? And his response was not ideal. So I'll let you jump in here.
First of all, this is... I'm beginning to realize that the way you're telling your points of views is not the reality of the situation. Pretty much, she told me to just tone down my competitiveness, and I will admit, I am a very competitive person. Regardless if it's, Monopoly, or if it's, a business-related thing, or, something with my job. I'm very competitive.
You are.
So... this game, pretty much the point of the game, and it says it on the box, is to create a word where your opponent will not guess it. So, it also says the word sneaky. You're supposed to be sneaky on the box. I don't
like sneaky.
I'm just following the rules here.
Okay.
So, what you have to do is, you get dealt a couple letters, and you create a word, and using these... clue cards, your opponent has to guess your word that you created with your letters. So, the first issue we had with this game was that Maddie played this card where I had to give her a word that rhymed with my word.
Right.
And she said that because my word, or the word I gave, the rhyming word I gave, didn't, end in the same exact letters.
Right, and let me just elaborate on that, because I literally wrote in my notes for this episode that I would like to use this as an example. So his word was the word queeze. Like you're queasy, right?
Yeah.
Which I thought was a little tricky to begin with, but I didn't say nothing. And so when I did the rhyming hint, he gave me the word freeze to rhyme it with. But I was looking at his letter tiles, and he didn't have a Z in there. So I was like, there's no way he can have a direct rhyme with freeze. And then I later figured out that his word was queeze, and it does rhyme. But I still think it was tricky for him to choose a word that wasn't spelled.
There are no exactly if, ands, or buts about it. The words rhyme, and that's the end of that.
Oh, and then you did praise.
Oh, yeah.
Praise.
Yeah, my word was craze, and I used the word praise.
But it wasn't a direct rhyme, and I still...
yes, it was.
They're clear. That's why I didn't say nothing about this. The real problem I had was actually after I already wanted to talk about this in the episode, and then this problem arose, and I added it to my notes. This was last night?
This was 2 nights ago.
2 nights ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he really pissed me off to the point that I didn't think that we were going to play this game anymore. And we've been, hardcore obsessed with this game lately. It's, been our thing.
Listen, should I give them the short version?
Yeah,
Pretty much what it was.
Yeah, give the
So, the word
version.
I used was seed. C-E-D-E. You cede control to somebody.
Sure.
And her word was thus. So, after
thus.
going... Yeah, thus. Thus, this, segment...
everyone knows. Thus, you're going to be wrong.
Thus, I am not going to be wrong.
Everyone's going to agree with me again.
I'm just following the rules of the game. All right, and I'll start by saying that because
in your own twisted way.
I'm trying to be sneaky, and I want to win.
Yeah, sneaky.
Yes, I enjoy playing.
Competitive.
First of all, no.
No.
Try to have fun, but also have a good balance of competitiveness and, enjoy the camaraderie.
But that's not what you do. And now you're telling a little fib on the pod. Fib on the pod, hashtag fib on the pod. He just gets too competitive to the point where all he thinks is win, 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 win. And he doesn't have fun. He overthinks these moves for 20 minutes. And I'll be like, just make a move. It's not that deep. He is just eyes on the prize, wants to win. And I'm like, we're just having fun. I'm just gonna go and do my move.
Not sure it was as well, but what'd you say? Hashtag fib on the pod?
Fib on the pod.
No, so this all started, pretty much I was trying to create one of the cards, you create a word from the letters in front of you, and, your opponent will flip over the letters that aren't in their word. Mm-hmm. So you'll know what letters are in their word, or it'll give you a good hint. So you want to make the biggest word and, use the most different letters, or the most possible different letters that you can use. and she pretty much got mad at me because I was taking too long figuring out what word I should, have her flip over tiles for.
Right. It was just too much. Come on.
Hey, but if I'm using this card and, I'm not going to go into the whole rules of the game, but, it affects you when you use...
You're like a referee.
When you use clue cards that kind of give you a better chance of guessing their word. But
the moral of this story was that, what was your word? Seed?
Seed, yeah, C-E-D.
Is not a common word that most people know. And I guess correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like everyone has been on my side when we brought up this issue in the past 2 days.
We brought it up to 2 people.
Yeah, but seed is not... I think you knew that I don't know. I don't have the best vocab, which is terrible to say as a journalism major, but I just don't. And I think Harris played upon that little fact that he knew about me, and I fell victim to that.
I wasn't aware that you had to be cognizant of the other person's vocab when you're creating your word.
I just think that you knew that I wasn't going to know, and that's why you're like, "Mwahaha, I'm going to pick that word, because Maddie won't know it, and she'll never guess it."
Genuinely, to everybody listening, it was the first word I saw, and I'm like, okay, I know that word.
Story. Well, just let us know what everyone thinks. Is seed a word that should be used in a game like this? Because my mom used to get very mad at my Aunt Marlo when they would play Words with Friends back in the day, and my Aunt Mar would choose a cheap word that she would just toggle together, and Words with Friends happen to accept. And I feel like seed is one of those instances. It falls under that category. So tell us what you think. Do you agree that we won't be offended, whoever side the audience is on?
Well, what I wanted to say was that...
You don't agree?
Your word, because what you're saying is that my word is not one of those fair words that should be used in a game like this. Your word was thus.
Thus.
People use the word thus, but mainly in text. It's not really a word that you say out loud, so to speak.
No, I see what you're saying, but it's a word that everyone knows.
Yes, and everybody pretty much knows the word seed.
You're
giving away control. No, you cede control.
Okay, fancy pants.
I'm sorry that,
Alright, well, we'll hear from the pod. The people must speak.
Okay.
The tribe has been spoken, as Brielle says.
Okay, so it's pretty much an argument as to whether seed and thus, which is more of a fair word to use.
Okay.
If they say thus is more of a fair word, or if it's the same, then this argument's done.
And I win.
And we agree to disagree.
Fair. Alright. Okay, so now let's get to the main event. The reason why I needed you to be here tonight. Do you know what?
I have a guess.
Okay. So, we talked about Cloudy earlier. And some of you may not know that Harris also has a bird. So, that first night in PetSmart, when I was oogling over that little blue bird, Harris was like, low-key, I want to get a bird too. And his mom, obviously didn't care. So, he had plans to get one before I even got Cloudy. And so that bird is named Bolt. We're introducing Bolt to the podcast. And he'll for sure be posted on the Instagram because Cloudy is obsessed with Bolt. They're best pals. This week, Bolt had a little moment. What kind of moment was it? I don't even know what to call it.
She laid an egg.
Yes. Bolt laid an egg in short terms. And we previously thought that Bolt was a boy. Harris got Bolt from a private parakeet breeder, which I never knew was a thing. And that woman swore that Bolt was a boy because it's hard to tell when they're young. And Bolt is also an albino birdie.
Yes.
So
a Latino albino.
Latino. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, it's hard to tell when they're young, but this lady said that he was a boy. She was a boy. And so Harris believed that. And we were calling him a boy this whole time. And when did you get Bolt?
I would say February or end of January of this year.
Yeah, so the same time that I got Cloudy, and we just thought Bolt was a boy, and Bolt and Cloudy would play together. And Cloudy just loved Bolt, and we just thought that they were, like, buds. Yeah, but Bolt laid an egg this week, and it was truly a wild experience. And it's not a fertilized egg.
Yeah,
Oh
there's
God,
not going to be a little baby parakeet popping out of that thing.
No babies. And, oh, Cloudy doesn't like that. But Brielle really wants a parakeet, but she doesn't want to take care of it. I don't even know if she wants it. And so this would be, like, her in to get one for sure, but I just don't know if I want to deal with the babies. Like, that's a lot to worry about.
Yeah, because there's not just one. You know, they lay, like, 4 different eggs.
Yeah, I can't do that, but now me and Harris have, like, parakeet boy and girl. Are they gonna date, or are they, like, brother and sister? I really don't even know.
See, I don't know, but I want to backtrack a little bit into why, like, you know, the breeder gave me all, like, the reasonings as to why she believed that Bolt was a boy, because Bolt's dad is albino, and in parakeets, the albino, you know, male trait is dominant, according to her. I'm not speaking from any research I've done. But, yeah, so she told me that, and I believed it, because she has bred multiple parakeets in the past. Yeah. Not multiple, like, probably, like, 10s.
Yeah.
And she swore to me that she pretty much thought that Bolt was a boy, and I wasn't gonna, you know, believe otherwise. Yeah, because, you know, she's dealt with parakeets in the past. So, Bolt's behaviors were a little different than Cloudy's, I will say. You know, now looking back on all of this, and from the research that I've done, you know, so first I will say that Bolt is a lot less talkative than Cloudy is. Cloudy will just sit, like, in his cage and just, you know,
chat. He's a chatty Cathy.
He will just chat. Cloudy will just talk and talk and talk, regardless of whether anybody's listening or not.
Oh, I'm always listening.
Yeah, I guess you are. So,
and yeah, Bolt doesn't do that as much.
No, Bolt definitely does not. She yells. Yeah, she yells. Bolt definitely does not talk as nearly as much as Cloudy does. So that's, you know, that's evidence
Number one,
or Exhibit A. Yeah, that's Exhibit A. Male parakeets do make a lot more noise than female parakeets.
Proves to be true.
So the next Exhibit B, was that Bolt's droppings were a lot
different.
They'd
be different.
They were extremely different. I would say, I don't even know how to describe them.
High-key worse.
They were worse because they were, one, wet, and the size of them was significantly bigger than Cloudy's.
Yeah.
So, you know, this really, I was getting worried about this, you know, because, you know, I saw the droppings that Cloudy would make, and I was like, Bolt's droppings don't look nearly as, you know, similar to those. Yeah, so this worried me, and I put Bolt on some, you know, superfood powder that I would put in
her... get swole.
Yeah, in her little food, what do you call it?
Container.
Her food container, her feeder. And I also put these vitamin drops in her water. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I thought...
She should have been the epitome of health. She might be.
Yeah, probably is. So I thought that, you know, her poops would start to look normal, you know, after I did this.
Boy, were you wrong.
I was very wrong. So the reason the droppings were much larger were because the female parakeets don't like to, you know, dirty their nests. And her cage was her nest. So whenever she would get out of the cage, she would make a large dropping.
Like, it's so funny that, like, she is, like, all about her space. Like, she's such a mama bear. Mm-hmm. Mama birdie.
And she was much more snippy than Cloudy. Because female parakeets are a lot more territorial.
Oh my god, she's, like, bitchy. I love it.
So if you,
that
you know,
bitch energy,
stuck your finger in the cage, you know, she'd run up to it and, like, make, like, a very, you know, get the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she would, like, bark at you in her own way. It's so funny. Like, oh my god, loved her energy.
So, moral of the story is that Bolt is a girl.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, she did all the, you know...
the girl things.
Yeah.
Just girly things.
And the egg was the final straw that was like, all right, well.
Oh, yeah, the confirmation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we're expecting more in the future because I guess she lays as many as she would, like, little babies.
Apparently they lay up to 9 eggs.
Oh my god, that's wild. God bless her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's the latest in the parakeet news of Harris and Maddie. And honestly, the biggest news in our relationship this week.
Yeah.
So we had one big argument, one big revelation.
I feel like these people are starting to learn about our relationship and, what really goes down.
Oh, yeah. What goes down behind closed doors.
Yeah, we, argue about little board games, and we, are very big bird people.
Yeah, oh my god. It's so funny. When I got Cloudy, everyone was like, you're gonna be like the lady from Home Alone with all the birds on her. And low-key, I am. And I'm living for it.
Yeah.
I feel like it suits me.
I think Cloudy's like one of the best things to happen to you.
Happen to me? Yeah.
Yeah, you're just...
You're number 2 again. See? Like, Cloudy, first one on the pod.
Listen, I know that I take a backseat to Cloudy in any situation. Like, I think that, if I was hanging off a cliff and Cloudy was... I mean, I can't use that thing because he could fly off.
Cloudy will just fly off to my shoulder.
But, if Maddie had a choice to save me or Cloudy, we know what the answer would be there.
It's the little muff, for sure.
See you guys.
Okay, so I'm kicking Harris to the curb for my little wrap-up of episode 2 of In the Clouds podcast. He's actually just sitting behind me, so I'm sure he's going to make his, sassy 2 cents, but we'll see. So, I want to wrap it up with some general life updates, besides Bolt being a girl. This past weekend, I met Ed Sheeran, which was so cool. I love that I get to say that. And it was for a work thing. And it was awesome. It was for an event with Spotify, and he was definitely the nicest celebrity I think that there ever was. I don't know how anyone could get nicer than that. He came right up to us and asked about my Jersey accent, which didn't really know that, we had one. But we talked about that. I told him I played guitar, which was, so cool. And he was so chill. He was exactly how you would think Ed Sheeran would be, which is so funny. Literally, my high school self was screaming because, confession, I kind of don't listen to him anymore. But in high school, I was very much obsessed with his, first 2 albums. And I think a lot of people are in agreement that his, first 2 albums were the best. And then he kind of went on a decline from there. No hate, Ed. But he was so nice, and it was really cool to see him in the flesh. And also, something that happened, which I was trying not to freak out about, but I was low-key freaking out about, is I met people from Bachelor Nation. My literal inner bachelor came out. My Bachelor Nation self came out. So I was waiting outside the Ed Sheeran venue because I was doing check-in for the press that were coming and the influencers that were coming, and I saw Greg Grippo on the list. And I was like, that low-key sounds familiar. And I'm not the hugest Bachelor person, but I definitely enjoy it, and I know Greg Grippo. And so I looked him up and I was like, oh my god, that is him. And then I look up and I see young girl in the line being like, oh my god, that's Greg Grippo. And I look at him and it's him and Andrew. I don't know Andrew's name, I'm a fake fan. And they're sitting there in line to get COVID tested. And then he comes up to me and is like, are you Maddie? I was like, yeah, because I needed to check him in. And I had a starstruck moment. Greg Grippo was looking for me. Greg Grippo has my phone number. So he got his COVID test, he came back to me, and I was texting Brielle the whole time. I was like, I need to ask for a picture or else I'm going to regret it. But this was my first event with Spotify, and I didn't want to be that girl, the young girl, asking for a selfie with the influencers, but I totally did. And I think I did it in a classy way, but everyone convinced me to. So I just was I'm going to shamelessly ask you for a selfie or else my sister's going to kill me. And they were so chill about it, and now we got a cutesy little photo. And I got a picture with Ed Sheeran that day. So the selfie game was on point last Sunday. 2 pictures with, super cool people. And I was feeling really grateful that I got to go. Like, my high school self would literally be screaming if I told myself that. So that's the update of the week. Yeah, met Ed Sheeran, met Greg Grippo, and Andrew, whatever his last name is. Other than that, I feel like that's all I have for you guys this week. So definitely continue to send me all of the feedback. There was a lot to unpack this episode for sure. Lots to discuss, and I'm open to all feedback, positive or negative. I don't care if you guys are not on my side. I would prefer it, obviously, but it's fine. But continue to send me feedback, text me whatever you think of this podcast, message me, comment, whatever, because I would love to hear it, and I would love to know what you guys want to hear from me. What should I talk about next week? Who should I have on next week? And I hope that you guys enjoyed hearing Cloudy in the background. I mean, who wouldn't? And maybe even a little bit enjoyed Harris on the podcast.
Team Harris.
Yeah, okay. Whatever. Harris tells fibs on the pod.
That's such a lie.
Alright, well, let me know what everyone thinks. And thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. And I will maybe see you next week. Who knows when I will be recording again. Alright, bye.